Right, now we're learning about congruent angles. The measure of an angle is the measure in degrees of the space between the sides of the angles. Okay, what does that even mean? Measure of an angle is the measure in degrees of the space between the sides of the angles. These right here, this right here, this right here. Degrees. Degrees are different because they don't measure like inches do. 1 inch is always an inch, is always an inch. Degrees are very fun. If you're in class with me, I would be showing you how a mouse door and a human door open 15 degrees, and they are always 15 degrees, even though they're very small doors or very big doors. But congruent is a fun word that we use a lot in geometry. Congruent means equal. Okay? Means equal, it means the same. Okay? So congruent angles, angles that have the same measure, are congruent. They are congruent angles. That's your first fill in the blank. Angles that have the same measure are congruent angles. They're the same angles. Okay? They're equal angles. So in this example over here, right here, QTR, it says right here, angle QTR and angle STR are congruent. That's what this symbol means right here. If you trace out, this is an equal sign, but then they put this weird little kind of almost sideways S on top of it. This is a congruent symbol, okay? And it means they are having the same properties, okay? The same measure, okay? Now a cool thing, if you notice these little swoops in here, that is also a way for us to signify that they are congruent. They are congruent arcs. We match them up to show matching congruences. So if I was to have another set of angles over here, let's see here. And let's see here. Copy. So I've got two congruent ones over here, but they're not the same size as those ones above. We would give them two arcs. So the arcs show us that they match. We still don't know how big they are. Don't know what their degree is. They might be 30, they might be 500. We don't know how many degrees. 500 doesn't make sense, obviously. But we do know that they match. They're congruent. Okay. Congruent angles are indicated on the figure. Okay, matching number of arcs, good. That's our next fill in the blank. Now, the next blank says, a rare segment that divides an angle into two congruent parts is an angle bisector. So in this figure, RT, in this figure, RT bisects QTR. Okay, or TR bisects QTS. Okay, so you're going to see this word. I think we talked about it back when we did segment bisectors. So angle bisectors also means cuts in half. So yep, 60 and 60, RT is an angle bisector. Okay, when I brought over my PowerPoint, stuff got dropped. Not impressed. In the figure, BA and BC are opposite rays, and BD bisects angle ABE. If, goodness gracious, if the measure of ABD equals 4x plus 14 degrees, and the measure of angle DBE equals 8x minus 32, find the measure of DBE. Okay. What I want you guys to see here is that they've given you this diagram. Beautiful. But even if they hadn't, you could have drawn this. They've given you all the information you need in here to do this. So what you need to do is draw on it. Draw on this. So they're opposite rays. BD, this one, bisects ABE. So ABE. So let's draw that in there. It bisects, which means that these are going to be the same size. So put in your matching congruent marks. And then they tell you that ABD is 4x plus 14. So put that in there. And DBE is 8x. My 8 is terrible. 8x minus 32. Put it in there. And then they tell you find DBE. I always put this and say make sure you remember to find what they tell you to find, because inevitably somebody will find X, turn it in, and think they've done what they need to do. But they were supposed to find DBE, not X. Okay? So make sure you're paying attention to what you're supposed to find. Okay, so what do you need to do? Well, we're going to solve for this in 2 steps. We're going to have Mrs. Cruz solve it because they are not solving it down there correctly. Everything fell apart. So, because bisectors, angle bisectors, cut things in half, we know that angle ABE is equal to angle DBE. Therefore, we can set their values equal to. So 4x plus 14 is going to be equal to 8x minus 32. And now you've got an algebraic expression that we can solve. So we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and solve it. We're going to subtract our 4x. We get 14 equals 4x minus 32. And then we're going to add our 32. We're going to get 46 equals 4x. Did I do that right? And then we get 11.5. X equals 11.5. Did we get that right? Yep. 11.5. Yep, they took all that out of there. And then because we were asked to find DBE, we're going to substitute that back in. So, and I should have been doing this correctly right away, we need to find the measure. This little m out front means the measure. When we're starting to put it into equations, geometry starts to do some really funky things. And so when we put it into equations, we need to say the measure of DBE equals 8x minus 32. So the measure of DBE equals 8 times 11.5, minus 32. And then we're going to bring our calculator in and say 8 times 11.5 minus 32. And the measure of dBE equals 60. There we go. Okay, so go ahead and practice number 2 and see how that goes. Go ahead and pause me. All right. Check with your teacher to see if you got it right, because I don't have the answer in front of me. And then go ahead and check those ALEKS topics. I want to remind you that these 4 right here, all of those, when you go into ALEKS and you open up your topics, off to the side, they will have a little box right here that looks like a little person in front of a whiteboard. It is a resource tab that will take you to a YouTube video that walks you through how to do every single one of these. It's me showing you how to do them in ALEKS. So if you don't exactly understand how to use those tools, go ahead and watch me do them.